deserves to be
those wheels, bro?
and continued at all costs. Thus,
Freaking terrible. Ooh,
Oh my god, I just had a yucky
that's
feeling.
gruesome. That's so
Just
cool.
see.
Hi
Hi
guys,
guys.
welcome back again to the channel. Today we are going to be checking out something from the channel S1 AP Shoes, and this is the absolute insanity of Group B rally. So excited for this one. What up? Let's get right into the
I
video.
think Group B is the usual cars, kind of like cars looking like the normal cars, everyday cars, right?
I think so.
when auto racing first began in the 1890s, it was extremely simple. Get a bunch of cars.
Wait, this racing has been there from 1890?
Nah.
Wow.
Some drivers together and have them race from one town to another. First one there wins. In a time before purpose-built racetracks or electronic timing and scoring existed, this was the easiest way to put on a race and have an undisputed winner. However, these events were held on public roads, and thus you couldn't sell tickets and anyone could just waltz up and watch a race for free, or at least a segment of it. People wanted to watch the entire race and were willing to pay to make that happen. So around the turn of the 20th century, auto racing migrated onto horse racing tracks, as there were already hundreds of them dotted across Europe and North America. Fans could watch the entire race, get food and drinks, and even bet on the outcome. And the best part was, all the infrastructure was already built. In a span of less than 10 years, motorsports went from almost unrecognizable to looking exactly like a modern racing event today. But no matter how much the sport of
It's
so crazy that
what I feel about this one.
this existed like way back then, man.
It's so crazy that the fan, people love it so much that they brought the reality into life.
It. Yeah. Like it was literally free. We demanded,
to be paid, and so they put infrastructure in order.
place.
This is crazy, man.
auto racing changes or how much different it looks as the decades drag on, some people are always going to want to do things the old
Even
way.
the cars,
Even
what?
to this day, there are still
Those
racing
wheels.
divisions that host races on those same horse tracks from the 1900s.
They didn't
Some
know
people
they
insist on
horse
racing
track.
in the old styles or just in it for the nostalgia. Others are purists and say that's the only real form of racing. But most see it as an old art form that deserves to be
Those wheels,
preserved
bro?
and continued at all costs. Thus, some drivers still held on to the point-to-point style of racing that had started it all. In 1911, the Rally of Monte Carlo was held in Monaco, and the name stuck. That style of racing forever thereafter was known as rally racing. Eventually, instead of one-day point-to-point races, the long rallies were broken up into segments run across multiple days. That way, fans could watch more racing and get more bang for their buck. After World War II, motor racing saw an insane boom in popularity all over the world.
Wow.
By 1950, Formula One had begun competition, and several rally series had popped up. But in 1973, the FIA, the sanctioning body for F1, threw their hat into the rally ring and created the World Rally Championship, or WRC. Immediately, they saw success as they gained the rights to the Rally of Monte Carlo, and many other major rally races all over Europe, be it in the paved streets of Monaco, the snows of Finland, or the mud of Sicily. The WRC did it all and had one of the most challenging schedules
a lot
on
of
the
countries
planet. Soon,
adapted
rally
to
racing
it.
was becoming more popular than Formula One, because unlike in that series, all the cars in the WRC were stock cars anybody could buy straight from the dealer's lot.
Okay,
The
yeah,
WRC
that's true,
had
because
rules and
the F1 cars are actually very well customized to the racing itself.
And they cost a whole lot
I know
of money.
this kind of car is something you've watched a rally, you love it, and you want to own it, and it's available for
sale.
for retail.
to race a car in their series, a manufacturer had to produce at least 5,000 units for commercial and private sales.
Really?
This rule made the Lancia Stratos one of the most
this
recognizable
looks
race
dangerous.
cars
I love the
ever
car.
made. And it won the WRC's
I love the
championship
view.
top division 3 years in a row, from 1974 through 1976. Even in America and other places where the WRC didn't race yet, people knew about the Stratos. Kids had posters of it on their walls. Those lines are unmistakable. Just look at that thing.
Yeah.
However,
This is a
the early
beast.
80s rolled around, there was a problem with the WRC. The numbers of divisions or groups they ran were too specialized and too restrictive for the automakers to justify manufacturing 5,000 units necessary to meet the WRC's regulations. Also, the 6 groups they had hamstrung the teams with tons of rules in the way. So in 1982, the head of the FIA, Jean Balestre, made a radical move. He condensed down the number of groups from 6 to 3. 2 stock divisions would remain, but the third was something entirely new. Usually when a sanctioning body is trying to win over teams and factories, they introduce new rules to cap costs and keep them happy. But this time the FIA would take away the rules and say anything goes. So long as the car has 4 wheels and the engine breathes air, you can run it. For the 1982 season, the FIA and the WRC effectively threw the rulebook out of the window and said, let her rip.
What the?
This is freaking terrible. the hell are those people just right in front of that fast flying moving cars? Honestly, I don't know what to think, but this looks
Some people just love risk, man.
dangerous.
Like they
This looks
how
dangerous.
close.
This is madness.
Group B, as it came to be known, was pretty much the Wild West of auto racing, only really matched by the insane northeastern supermodified scene back in the United States. Instead of 5,000 units needing to be produced, it was lowered down to 200. And if you changed something on your car from one year to the next, you only needed to make 20 more. A laughably low limit. There were no restrictions on horsepower, turbo, and superchargers.
No restriction on the...
And you could run any engine you wanted. And even the dimensions of the cars were not mandated, meaning that you could watch a rear-engine Porsche 959 compete directly against a front-engine Soviet-built Lada. Yeah, the commie car. Group B was complete.
And I'm sure someone used a jet engine to make a car because there was no restriction on the...
Of that.
Nah, this is crazy.
Completely insane, and I love it. And the manufacturers put their money where their mouth was by putting forth some of the most monstrous cars to ever grace a race course. They started throwing money at their Group B programs and let their engineers go hog wild. Lancia were here to take their crown back yet again with their Rally 037, the spiritual successor to the Stratos. It had a 2-liter rear-mounted 4-cylinder engine that produced 265 horsepower. That doesn't sound like
I
much,
think those
but with one of
islands
the
are
few
to,
rules being a
take
960
impact
kilogram minimum vehicle weight, about 2,100
yeah.
pounds. That meant the
Impact.
037 could absolutely fly through the streets. Lancia would claim the manufacturer's title in 1983, and they had yet another classic car to their name. The 037 in the Martini colors would become as iconic as any race car could ever hope to be. But their main rival in the 1980s was unquestionably Audi and their Quattro series of cars.
Audi.
The fact that the word Quattro rung a bell for you tells you how influential this series was in its heyday. Audi had won the title in 1982 with a nifty idea.
Damn! Damn! Nah.
But it had a turbocharged inline
That's an old
5-cylinder
dog.
motor, and the 4-wheel drive meant that all 4 wheels could put down the 340 horsepower it produced. It was significantly over the minimum weight, being just a touch under 2,500 pounds, but that much power combined with a way to actually get it on the ground effectively meant that Lancia had serious competition. 4-wheel drive for rally was largely seen as a novelty before Group B, as it was just too unreliable and broke easily. But Audi had apparently found the secret sauce and changed the game forever. They also started an arms race by constantly updating the Quattro. They started off with the Quattro A1 in 1983, but next they debuted the Sport Quattro S1. This was a big step up in 2 ways. First, it produced 100 more horsepower than the A1, despite using basically the same engine layout. And second, it really delved deep into the ever-evolving world of aerodynamics. Aero had been something that race teams all over the world had been fiddling with since the 1950s, but cars at the time simply did not go fast enough to make it worth spending that kind of money on R&D. But Group B pushed the envelope so much in the power department that aero was now a real concern, and the cars began looking less like street cars and more like rocket ships. Peugeot was also in the thick of it with their offering, the 205 T16. It had an inline-4 turbocharged engine that made in excess of 500 horsepower and had aero scoops jutting out of every corner of the car. And despite it having that big front engine compartment, that's not actually where the engine is. It's in the middle for better weight distribution, because this is Group B and you can just do that sort of thing. It won the manufacturer's title in 1985 and 1986 with Timo Salonen at the helm. Now's where we get to talk about the absolute mad lads and lasses that drove these things. Because they were every bit...
I was actually thinking of, okay, these cars are manufactured by crazy engineers.
Yeah.
So who are the crazy people that runs this car? I was thinking of that actually, and I want to see their faces.
You have to be crazy.
Because this is courage. They are
Timo
brave.
Salonen was a Finnish driver who, despite his appearance making him look like a tax accountant, was the best driver in Group B's history.
How does he look
winning
like a
more
tax
events than
accountant?
anyone else. He was a laid-back man who never lost his cool and insisted on driving the car with just one hand and the other one being permanently left on the shifter.
He
Stig
doesn't
Blomqvist took
I'm
the
so sorry.
driving
It
duty.
doesn't look like he drives.
He drives.
You
Not
look
like they say
so
he looks like an accountant.
like a tax accountant,
Yeah.
man. He looks so much like an accountant. Because if this guy should tell me that you don't want to see me on
I'm
the
an F1
wheel,
driver.
and
I'll
I'll be
look
like,
into this.
what can you do on those 2 wheels? And
Is it
seeing him on
like
the
an
track.
everyday Joe.
Yeah, and seeing him on the track is going to blow my mind real bad. This is crazy.
For Audi and tamed their Quattro series, being instrumental to their title in 1984. Walter Roll won the title for Lancia in 1983, and of course we have to mention the Queen of the Hill, Michelle Mouton. She is arguably the greatest female race car driver that has ever lived. She set the Pikes Peak
Really?
Nah.
What?
Nah.
hill climb record in 1985, won the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and to this day, she is the only woman to have ever won a WRC event.
What?
And there you have it, a recipe for success. The fastest cars ever built for rally racing mixed with the best drivers in the world. The FIA wanted to give the WRC a shot.
I don't know, she gave me some kind of
By
goosebumps.
1984, the WRC was more popular than
She made you
Formula
believe
One,
you can
and
do
fans
it.
flocked to
Yeah.
these events in the hundreds of thousands. Sometimes as many as 400,000 people would buy tickets to see these cars and drivers in action.
400,000.
There were very
Wow.
few, if any, crowd control measures in place for Group B events, and those 400,000 people got to go somewhere. So people would crowd the racing lines and even stand on the track itself just waiting to get the perfect vantage point to see these race cars do their thing.
Wow.
Some of
Wow.
these videos are just jaw-dropping to watch.
Yeah.
It's like the automotive
Yeah.
equivalent
Yes.
of the bulls. I don't even know how the drivers or their co-drivers managed to see the road ahead of them. Mechanics and crew reported that after a segment had been completed, they would find bits of clothing and hair stuck in the grille and wings of their cars, body panels splattered with blood, and even fingers wedged into the air ducts. Group B.
Ooh,
Oh my god, I just had a yucky
that's
feeling.
gruesome. That's so
Just see
gruesome.
goosebumps, man. Goosebumps, man. Damn, finger stuck on the panel, man. That was another level of shit, man. Get a grip of yourself. Get a grip.
So what are those people that loses those parts of their body?
Was absolute mania. The coolest race cars, the best drivers, the most rabid fans on earth, everything had worked out for the WRC and the FIA beyond their wildest imaginations.
Yeah, that-
What could possibly go wrong?
Did anything go wrong? Oh, the final year of Group B.
By 1985, these cars were so fast and there were so few rules in place for safety that even the drivers were starting to voice concerns. Another rule in Group B, or really lack thereof, was that cars could be made of any material, including aluminum. Those Audis and Lancias that weighed scarcely more than a metric ton were able to do so because of their aluminum frames and roll cages. And the thing about aluminum, it likes to bend. If you've ever been on a commercial flight and got a window seat above the wings, you know how much aluminum can flex during flight. That's a good thing for a plane, but not so much for a car. Rescue workers were also not numerous enough to do anything in case a car went off the track. It could take half an hour for them to show up on the scene, and their communications
That's a
were
long
also
time.
horrendously lacking.
Oh.
Oftentimes, the only way they found out that a driver had wrecked was when another driver drove past, finished their segment, got out of the car, and reported the smoke they had seen to an official. By the time medics and firefighters arrived, it was often far too late. Not to mention the hundreds of thousands of spectators crowding the roads made it hard to get to the scene even if their communication was better. On May 2nd, 1985, at the Corsica Rally, a Lancia 037, piloted by Attilo Bottega, went off and slammed into a tree. His co-driver was okay, but when medics arrived 20 minutes later, they found the co-driver Mauricio limping out of the woods and Bottega dead still inside of the car. The drivers petitioned the FIA to do something, but they determined that at the speed the car was going, nothing would have prevented Attilo's death. It was more or less hand-waved away as a freak accident. Racing is inherently dangerous, that's true, but the FIA's investigation left drivers with little peace of mind. But later in the year during the Argentinian rally, Ari Vatanen crashed in a scary rollover. He broke both legs and a few ribs, one of which punctured.
Oh,
No.
that's going so well up until this time.
his lung. He and his co-driver survived, but they both vowed to never race in Group B again. The cars were becoming so fast with so much power that one driver said the cars moved faster than he could react. It was more or less driving on instinct, right on the razor's edge of what was humanly possible.
What?
So going into 1986, the FIA finally budged and outlawed aluminum roll cages and set limits on aero devices like wings and spoilers, in hopes of slowing the cars down. But everything else remained the same, no limits on power and no crowd control measures, because coming in 1987 was the new Group S division, Group B's replacement. Here there would be virtually no rules. Manufacturers only needed to make 10 road cars to reach the production limit, and the automakers were already developing their new round of supercars. In March 1986, the Portugal Rally was held, and the country had already become a hotbed for gearheads of all stripes, and now Group B would get their shot at glory in the country. People flooded the streets, and the first incident of the rally occurred when a cameraman was basically pushed into the line of fire, and Timo Salonen damn near ripped the man's hand off with his car and completely destroyed the $3,000 camera. The next accident would not be so lax. Joaquim Santos, a native Portuguese driver, started off in his Ford RS200. Wanting to see the hometown guy rip through the streets, people crowded more and more onto the course. At one point, a spectator jumped out onto the track and Santos swerved to miss him. He then overcorrected and the car slid broadside into a group of people. His co-driver Miguel Oliveira said that in Group B the cars were so fast that he just had to look at his notes and feel the track turn for turn. But in this instance, he suddenly felt thuds and bumps as the car careened into the crowd. 32 people were injured and 3 people died, including a mother and her 11-year-old son. In a disgusting move, the FIA continued the race and did not tell the other drivers what had happened. When the drivers completed the segment and got told what happened, they banded together and vowed to go on strike to stop the competition. But the FIA kept things going, and Jean Balestre said he would punish any...
Why do they keep things going? Like, those lives lost meant
Does not matter.
nothing.
Like,
I was actually feeling them up until this point, man. This is crazy. This is total bullshit.
the fact that they refuse to act, even with countless
Because
evidence
the car still...
that something is going wrong, with countless evidence that something is going wrong, they still refuse to act. That is crazy.
This is negligence.
driver or manufacturer that walked out. At the Corsica rally just 2 months later in May, Henry Tovinen and his co-driver Sergio Cresto were putting on the race of their lives, winning stages left and right. But on the second day of competition, their lancia went off at a point where there was no guardrail and it flew off of a steep hill. The fuel tank immediately ruptured and a ball of fire erupted from the crash site.
What the?
I can't imagine. This is crazy. Oh my god. Oh my god.
All for what?
Oh my god.
Drivers completing the segment reported to officials that they'd seen black smoke in one of the turns, and by the time rescue personnel got to Henry and Sergio, there was nothing left of the wreck except a charred frame. Now in action was borderline criminal, and after international pressure from drivers, manufacturers, and governments, Group B was immediately banned from competition and never got to see the light of day again, and its successor, Group S, was scrapped entirely.
They would have done something about those things.
After
They
Group
were
B's
really good.
disbanding,
They were
Group A,
great.
the
So
more strictly stock division,
negligence was
picked up the
just...
banner and marched forward. But this time with the restrictions and safeguards the drivers of the 80s had wanted. Now there were crowd limits, they had to be kept further back in most areas, and rescue personnel were more numerous with helicopters in the air and radio communications opened up between them. Now if a driver went off, their officials would know about it immediately and be able to send help within a few minutes rather than half an hour. Even still, rally racing remained popular all over the world. The Subaru Impreza WRX and the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo became classic cars.
They
Their
refuse to do
computerized
anything
traction
because they
control
know it
systems
will
and
just
driver
cost them a
assists
little
are
money to
commonplace
save
on road
life.
cars today of all
And
makes
they
and
hate
models.
losing money.
The features you take for granted in your personal car and the safety precautions in place at every racetrack today were earned out there on the ice, snow, gravel, and dirt stretching from Portugal to Corsica, from Finland to Argentina. People had to pay a high price for those things. And if there's any silver lining to Group B and rally racing as a whole, it was that they have saved countless lives through these technological advancements. The WRC is still competing today, and the envelope is still being pushed, but with the proper safety measures in place to make sure we don't repeat the same mistakes. And even with all the new rules set up, limiting horsepower and boost and making the
Fast
cars
line.
sturdier with steel, if you watch a modern WRC event, you can see that the true spirit of Group B never completely went away.
Oh! Dang!
Nah, that was crazy, man.
What is this?
That was
Today
crazy.
the cars
That
have a
looks
lot
like
less
hell.
horsepower, but they're actually faster than their Group B brothers, if you can believe it. And with modern seats and belts, they're safer than ever. There's never been a better time to be a rally fan with cameras broadcasting every angle of every stage. And yes, you can still get uncomfortably close to the action if that's your thing. For any of my European fans watching this, y'all got it pretty good over there. Don't forget that. Anyway, I'm Slapshoes. Thanks for watching, and until next time, y'all take it easy.
That was crazy, man. That was absolutely
That was really...
insane.
I think the...
They acted slow. And I don't know why human beings are naturally like that.
Some, not all.
You know, so you'll be complaining of something, they will refuse to act on it
That's
until it becomes
negligence.
late,
Until it costs lives.
until it costs lives.
The beginning of the video started off like, wow, this is nice. Can they just keep going? But like seeing the risk factor in it, it's crazy. And I just wished the people acted like really really on time, because even with all the complaints, they didn't even reduce the speed, and when the drivers complained, and it's crazy. It is just crazy at every time. But this was nice to see and watch. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. We will see you on our next one. Bye guys.